Hey peeps, Erin Zen Warrior here. Just checking to make sure that I've got everything working. This has been an interesting one I've been observing for some time. All designs, all human mechanics. So that is, when we talk human design, we're talking the avatar that you're using to move through this world. So you're not your avatar, right? You are a sentient being having a human being experience in this body-mind construct. And the body-mind construct have mechanics, and everybody's mechanics are a little bit different, so that we all bring our subjective, unique view, and we all have our own job to do. The projector is here to guide. The quad ride is here as basically an information data source, so that sort of covers me a little bit. Emotionality is a super interesting form of authority, so the way we feel our way through life, and that's governed by about 52% of people. So when I go into this next one, which is about the manifestor, it is going to be about I'm going to touch largely on the emotionals, but keep in mind everybody gets access to emotions, whether you're amplifying someone else's or you're expressing your own. And that's not to say, like, I've heard this asked in classes and stuff, right, where they go, oh, so you're saying I'm not emotional? And it's like, no, everybody has emotions. Not everybody rides the wave. Those of us that ride the wave every day, every night, all the time, that's a really different experience to occasionally having your own emotions to go through, or amplifying someone else's and distinguishing or not distinguishing between those emotions. So today I wanted to talk about the manifestor, because I love manifestors. They're one of my favorite beings. I really, really enjoy their creative, explosive energy that comes forward and initiates all this stuff. And I think I deeply appreciate the job that they do here, because as a projector, I don't do any of that, right? I just wait till it's all here and then sort of point it in the right direction by asking a few questions. And I feel like the manifestor, because, you know, as Ra would say, their job is done. They helped initiate a whole lot of stuff. And then for the last 400 years, we've kind of been in a generator build out, right? So the generators have been expanding everything. Now we're about to cross into this projector time. And, you know, the manifestors kind of did their job. Of course, they always have a job. Everybody has a job. And as you come through different times with different heads of society, the manifestors versus the generators versus the projectors, not quite sure when the reflectors ruled things. I'd have to go back and see. You get a different flavor required of each type. And I do notice a lot of manifestors these days have very sensitive, supportive, encouraging designs that are great for helping the tribe structure itself, holding space for people. Some have very socialist designs that are really here to make sure that everyone's accounted for. There's a lot of fairness that comes through in some of the designs. So it's interesting when we see that, you know, the manifesto was, you know, hailed as the Hitlers and the Vladimir Putins and the great Roman emperors of our time that enslaved the generators and then built out society from there by initiating a concept, a construct, etc. It's like, yeah, cool. But they do other things now too. And they are, of course, some of our most creative actors, celebrities, musicians, etc. are manifestors. So I want to talk about the shadow. And I want to talk about one shadow in particular, because I think we can talk about lots and lots of different shadows. But I want to talk about strategy for the manifestor is about informing. And I think it needs to be clearly stated that the reason the manifestor is here to inform is because their aura has this repelling, pushing out nature. So wherever they go, they're impacting on the world and they're pushing out into the world. And so because they're pushing out, they're also pushing away in a sense. And so some people like that push. They like the mutation of a mutational chart, or the push of some sort of creative energy or an emotional energy, etc., or a collective vibe or a tribal vibe. It's like, oh, I like that push. It's pushing the tribe to do something. It's pushing the tribe to create something. It's, you know, it's pushing you to mutate. And some people don't like that push. They're like, oh, I'm not here to be pushed today and I'm getting pushed. I don't like it. So the manifestor walks around in kind of a bubble, its own little bubble. It's very much having its own unique journey in that bubble. Nobody's getting into that bubble because it's pushing out. And so as a result, most people, if not all people, don't really see the manifestor. I would argue that quad rightness gives you access to seeing someone in a different way. And being a reflector gives you an opportunity to see someone at least in a snapshot. But the projector, for example, cannot penetrate into the manifestor because that aura pushes out. So one of the things to note about that is they're kind of alone in there, like it's not like the projector and the generator where the projector's kind of porous aura is wrapping around everyone and giving everyone a big hug and the projector is going into the other. The manifestor is very alone in its own little world. And so that's something to be really, really aware of, is that the manifestor, only 8% of the world is living in a very, very different bubble to the majority of us, right? 90% of us are out here penetrating in and hugging around each other. It's like one big orgy, right? So that's something to note. So the manifestor comes into the world as this beautiful little child. And the parent sort of, as Ra would joke, picks it up and goes, what the fuck is this? And it goes, let's just tie it to the washing line and deal with it later, because its aura is pushing out. Its aura is having impact. And that parent is maybe overwhelmed and doesn't want impact right now. So this manifestor child runs around and it expresses itself because it's got a motor to the throat, and that's very powerful. It's got an empowered motored throat, and that's all it's got, right? It doesn't have generator energy. It's not a projector, so it doesn't have that kind of aura. It has this ability to speak with power. And of course, that's a lot because that speaking is designed to have impact, and not everybody wants impact all the time. So what do parents tell it to do? They tell it to shut up. Now, if that manifestor is expressing emotionally or is emotionally designed to express, right? So I'm distinguishing between two different mechanisms there. It is very possible that that child is going to be told not to throw its emotions around, to be quiet. It may even get a really bad reaction where it's rejected because its emotionality is so large and has so much impact. And so what ends up happening is the emotional manifestor in particular stops expressing its emotions. Now, we live in a time where being a man or a woman has had a huge impact on this flavor. And so what I find with women is that they express their emotions whether you like it or not. That's more likely. Not always the case, though. Sometimes they're also quiet because they've also been told, hey, shut up, wait, and don't throw your emotions around like that. But also we see that men have been taught not to emote. So I would say the ones that express the shadow of not emoting, of not informing about their emotions, of not expressing their emotions the most are emotional manifestors that are men. I think that some of my female manifestors who are on here can probably tell us some stories about how they don't do it either. But I'm really seeing it very strongly in men that they do not express their emotionality easily. And because they're a manifestor, they'll tell you to piss off too if you poke there, right? So they have the ultimate dodge and weave. And I have one client who's very funny, and I'll poke something and he'll go, yeah, we're not talking about that, but there's an expressed acknowledgement of the fact that he is choosing not to. So at least there's awareness there. And he also knows the door's open when he wants to express with me, which creates a healing environment for the manifestor, right? You can express your emotions here safely. You can burn down the fucking house. I don't care. It's cool. There's insurance somewhere, right? I would rather you express than don't. And this brings up another interesting thing. There's a lot of men out there that feel, I was having a discussion with a coach who's a man who does some really cool work about men coming into their emotions, which is essential, right? But a lot of men have been kept from their emotions so much that when they step into their emotionality, they think they're cooked. They think they've gone all the way. And the truth is that women get to express their emotions more. So when a man comes into expressing his emotions, he feels like he's done the journey because this has been such a big thing for him. But actually what happens with a woman is she then transcends down. She starts reclaiming herself through the different chakras as she moves back up to the heart and then higher up. She reclaims her manifestation. She reclaims her heart to love herself. She reclaims her body for herself. Well, the man, when he gets to expressing his emotions, has only started this journey, and he's kind of a step behind the woman, basically because of where the woman and the man are starting from in the first place, to do with social conditioning. So when you're looking at a manifestor that's living in a closed aura, that's not easily seen, that has been told to shut up, that has been told that its emotions are too much. And that has created a fear that the impact of their emotions may make them unsafe and may have them rejected in their own family as little children. You are going to find, and yes, I've narrowed this to men somewhat, but you probably will find it in women too, that there will be a struggle to express emotions. What I find with women is they tend to be more explosive with their emotions as manifestors. There will still be repressions, but I would say that they kind of repress until they explode. With a lot of manifestor men, I feel like they never quite get there to expressing unless they do the work. And unless someone actually wants to hold space for their expression of emotion without taking it personally. So this is a huge thing. And I think there's another thing to consider here too. A manifestor connects through having shared experience. Their thing is to go out and be in the creative world and be in 3D and experience stuff. They're really driven by that. And so if you're a projector, for example, and your way of connecting is to express and is to understand the other, and you're dealing with someone who does not want to express and doesn't want to talk about it and then wants to go out into the world and kind of go, well, we'll just connect through an activity, you're going to have a real mismatch. You're going to have two people who are essentially not going to connect. And so that's something really interesting to understand from a typing connection relational standpoint. And manifestors is only 8% of the world. So the chances are they're going to connect with someone who's not a manifestor, who's not going to have the same understanding or the same way of connecting. Now, a manifesting generator is going to love experience. That's going to be awesome for them. And so, hey, Jakui. And so they're going to enjoy the connecting and going out and the doing stuff. But depending on some of the circuitry, you're going to find that maybe your generator also wants to connect. Your manifesting generator also wants to connect through expression. And maybe they haven't been shut down as much because they don't have the impactful aura, right? They're more celebrated, unfortunately, because their aura is big and shiny and porous and huggy, and everybody loves a manifesting generator, you know? They are the life of the party. So their experience in life has not necessarily been to be shut down. It depends, though. And I have definitely met men who have been shut down who are manifesting generators, particularly if they have the undefined self. That's an interesting area where you see the same kind of thing, where they've been told to shut up and they've lost their expression. And all men have been told that they shouldn't be emotional by the societal sort of perpetuation of an idea of what a man is. And most men in the current setting that are 35, 45 up are still in this phase of learning how to express their emotions and learning how to embrace their emotions as part of their experience. And that's something else to discuss about emotionality, right? Is that we all came here for the emotional experience. It's why advertisers sell to you through emotions, because you're looking for the emotional hit, whether you're defined or undefined. And all of us have emotions, whether you live on the wave or not. So we all need to express those emotions. I need to tell you what I'm feeling, not because I need you to adjust how you're behaving because I feel that way, but because if I inform you, if I let you know what's going on with me, at least there may be some understanding. And when there's understanding and there's communication, there's relating. And then that's where there's relationship. And that's something else to understand, is that it is not enough to spend quality time with someone and not communicate where you're at and not inform someone where you're at, because essentially you're not relating, right? You're keeping that nice and close and quiet in case that gets you in trouble. Automatically you shut down energetically, you know, if you're doing that. Doesn't mean you have to bleed all over the place all the time, right? It's not actually about that. It's more about the energetic of, am I open or not? Well, if you're protecting yourself by keeping your mouth shut, you're not open. And if you're doing that, you're not actually going to find that you have good relationships. That somewhere along the way, someone is going to feel that and go, why, what do I need to do to get you to be here with me, to get you to relate to me, to get you to open up to me? I mean, aren't these keywords we hear people saying? If you're looking at a manifestor and a generator, you're also going to find that generators hold a lot of space. They're going to probably use, if they're undefined in the throat, they're probably going to use the manifestor access to the throat to speak. And now they're in a situation where potentially, thanks, Jakui, where potentially the generator is speaking all the time and the manifestor says nothing, right? And so the manifestor is probably going to get pissed with that for a lot of reasons, but also the reflection of the generator expressing themselves when the manifestor is somewhat shut down. Now, I want to take you to take this to another level with the manifestor. Manifestors should have money. That's my observation. They sit between the two worlds of the fifth dimension and the third dimension, bringing creations in. And creation and creativity and money is just congealed creative energy, basically. So where we see even a manifestor that's half functioning well, we see money. So when we see a manifestor that's really shut down, I bet you they're poor. And someone stick their hand up and tell me that that's not true. I would love someone to go against me, but my observation is manifestors, even if they're half functioning, make money. They are set up financially because of the way their design works. Projectors, totally different story. We need an energy type usually to help us access money because we're not here to create anything, right? The aura is very different. But the manifestor is explosive, creative, insane energy in fits and spurts. So it has this way of bringing in a whole lot of stuff, including money at the time. If you do have a manifestor in your life and you are looking to have that manifestor open up, sometimes just sharing with them that, you know, if they want to get past the resistance of other people, they just need to let people know. They're not asking permission. They're not here to ask permission. They're here to just let you know so that when they go and do their thing, you understand why they're doing it and you stop resisting them. When they come into a room and they're having impact on others, they can just go, hey, you know, I'm here to be your friend. Like, I'm not here to make enemies. And that's just informing. I'm not here to make enemies. Yeah, I know I got quite an aura that has a bit of an impact. I get that, you know, but I'm just here to hang out, you know. I'm just here to do this. I'm just here to work. I'm just here to whatever it is. I have a really good friend who said that the best thing someone ever told her was, whenever you do anything, just let people know. And she was like, people fucking follow me to the toilet, you know. Can you imagine trying to go to the toilet and there's someone like trailing behind you? And she was like, best thing I ever did. Whenever I would go to the toilet, I'd just stand in the middle of the room and go, I'm going to the bathroom, and go to the bathroom, and I get to go alone. Can you imagine? Such a simple thing. So I'd love to hear any comments on this. I have, as per usual, I've just done my quad right, like download, let it spill out of my mouth. But I find manifestors to be such magical, beautiful creatures, and I want them to be free just like I want the rest of us to be free. So I might do a series on shadows for the next few days and come forward next with shadows from the other types. Have a great day. Erin Zen Warrior signing out. Comment, like, follow, do all the things. See you next time.